very important to me to have a public forum like this. And I spoke with the commissioners, I spoke with the trustees, and everyone agreed. So I want to acknowledge and I want to thank the trustees. So Steve Dennis, Wayne Francis, and Jeff Marshall. I think they're all here today. I want to thank them for opening up this venue for us, and I want to acknowledge and thank all of the commissioners as well. In addition to Chris Wallace, Joni Zanikis is here, Mark Forrest is here, and I want to state, this isn't a secret or a surprise to Vanguard Renewables. The official position of the trustees and of the commissioners is that they oppose the project. Chris explained the situation that we're up against, but that is the official position. Nevertheless, we thought it was important that they hear from you and that you hear from them. I want to thank them for being here because despite the concerns and opposition, they certainly don't have to be here today. I think it's good that they are and right that they are, but nevertheless, they don't have to be. So I really thank them for being here. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Vanguard Renewables. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ben Cooper. I am with Vanguard Renewables. I'm the project manager on this project. I'm going to introduce the rest of my team. We have Majid on our legal team. We have Billy on community relations. We have Will and Owen on our development team. And then Gabe on our safety and operations team. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for coming out. Certainly appreciate you taking your time and coming here to listen to us, provide some information and answer questions about this project and how it will look for your community. So right off the bat, I kind of want to walk through broadly what Vanguard Renewables does.
Excuse me, could you raise that a little bit so everyone back here can see it also, or not?
Yeah, we can give it to you. Give us a second. We tried to raise it as much as we could.
Light switches back here if somebody.
Pull that protector out.
Here's some bags.
Is that better? That look better?
All right, so Vanguard Renewables was founded in 2014 on the premise of looking to help make the American farm and farmer more sustainable and better suited to continue operating into the future. That took its form in a couple of different ways. One is working with dairy farmers to help provide an alternative revenue source and to build anaerobic digesters on their farms to be able to harness the gas emissions that are produced by the manure and provide them with a more sustainable fertilizer source to be able to spread on their crops. Additionally, we work with farms to act as a diversion for food waste, to keep that food waste from going into landfills, and again, being able to capture the energy potential from that food waste and inject that natural gas into renewable energy pipelines. And so in the early or in the late 2010s, we began by purchasing some operational anaerobic digester facilities in New England, and then from there we began to develop our own facilities around the country.
So this isn't a farm at all.
And
How
so,
are you helping any farmers?
so we are partnering so broadly what we do is we build anaerobic digestion facilities on farms, and we receive food waste. Again, we act as a diverted source. Generally, this food waste coming from large food producers like breweries and places like Anheuser-Busch that have brewer's grain in their beer production process, or places like Chobani or Ben and Jerry's, places that have produce a lot of food, and through that process, Anheuser-Busch has brewer's grain, or Coca-Cola may have a batch of flat Coke that they're not able to bring to market, and so generally that is just going to landfills to as a outlet, and so that food has a lot of energy potential, and currently all that energy potential is just going up in the atmosphere as greenhouse gas and carbon emissions. And so what we do is we build these anaerobic digesters and are able to divert that food into this fully enclosed tank where we heat and mix the mixture inside and are able to harness the energy potential that's produced, and then condition that gas and inject it into natural gas pipelines, and provide that to the public as a gas utility. And then on the back end, we provide fertilizer for farmers to change what they're currently spreading on their fields and provide them a more nutrient-rich and sustainable fertilizer source that helps boost their crop yields and provide a revenue source to help make their farm practices more sustainable moving forward. And so here in Madison County, we are partnering with Kevin Summers, who is a longtime family farmer. He's been farming in this county for 25 years, and we're partnering to be able to provide him with an additional revenue source, as well as this nutrient-rich fertilizer to be able to spread on his fields to both increase crop yield, as well as again help continue farming in this community for his family for the long term.
How far are you tracking this waste?
So part of the reason when we build these projects, we are very diligent in our location selection, because we need to select a farm that has the land base to be able to receive this nutrient-rich fertilizer. And so in order for this fertilizer to be spread on crop fields without nutrient overloading the crops, we need generally about 2,000 acres of agricultural land on an annual basis. And so partnering with Kevin Summers, who has 3,500 plus acres of farmed land, is important to be able to receive that fertilizer product. And so in our site selection process, we look for farms that have a large land base, and then we also need to be close to an interstate gas line, where we're able to pipe the natural gas that's produced and inject that into the line to be able to be made for sale to the public.
Where is that gas line in Fairfield Township?
The gas line that we will be injecting into is about 3 miles north of the site. It's a Columbia gas transmission line.
How are you gonna get access? You can run a line from your property full 3 miles?
Correct.
How are you gonna get through that lane?
Say that again, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
So we are.
I asked how are they gonna
Planning.
move their natural gas 3 miles, whose land and how are they gonna use it?
So we are working with the Columbia Gas Transmission currently to route that pipeline. So we will work with landowners and
And
get.
if those landowners say no, is your project dead?
So we're working closely with landowners and Columbia Gas Transmission to route a pipeline.
Is the answer yes then?
It depends on how those conversations go.
Okay, so all of us need to reach out to those landowners to turn this down, then this project can die.
Columbia Gas has an eminent domain process. So
So let me, if I may, just sort of interject. And I'm actually been doing land use and zoning law for 20 plus years. And I've been in many of these meetings. And I think it's very critical, I wish we started the meeting on a little bit different tone, but I think it's very critical to address some of the concerns and some of the misperceptions up front as to what these guys do and how they operate and what this is. So, just to start with, what a biodigester is and how it operates, because I think there could be misperceptions out there, right? Nothing against solar, I don't have anything against solar, but I think the idea here, and I know the community has had a lot of experience with solar where you went to try to ban it in the community. The way that solar works is it comes in and takes over a farm and converts it into solar. And effectively, you've taken away the farm and converted it into this solar farm. They call it a farm, a solar farm. This is the exact opposite in many ways, right? This is, we're not coming in.
No.
We're not coming in.
We're bringing something we don't want.
We don't want this. What about our property value?
Let me just explain a
Just tell
couple
us
of.
where you live.
I'm sorry?
Where do you live?
I live in Independence, Ohio.
So you don't live on Sparling or Wilson?
I don't live on Sparling or Wilson, but I have.
So you have land in the community, but you do not live in the community.
Kevin
You need
lives
to
in the
think about-
community.
Where is Summers Farm? Where is Summers Dairy Farm?
We could,
Where is Summers Dairy Farm?
what do you mean?
3,000 acres? Why don't you put it up on his farm where it's close? For transportation and all that.
Guys, here, the point that I'm trying to make, right, is you end up taking over a small portion of the land.
Of our land.
No, because this affects our property values. Exactly.
Up front? Oh, those are from people.
All three of them.
Yeah.
Bush sells their stuff off to like farmers trying to sell.
we're providing this fertilizer for them to use on their crop fields.
So put it on their property.
We charter with farms.
To disperse the nutrient-rich fertilizer, you need 2,000 acres of land to put it all. It's so good. Sell it and use a smaller plot of land. Now you're capturing income from both sides.
We partner with farms so that they use this fertilizer on their fields. And so we put the project adjacent to those fields because that's where the fertilizer will be going.
Right, I know, but the fertilizer will go anywhere, right? It's good stuff. This is really desirable product. And you can sell it anywhere. And you don't need the 2,000 acres to sell it. Are you giving it to them? Are they buying the fertilizer?
No, that's a benefit.
Just altruism.
So he gets it for free.
Yeah, we gotta put up this.
Sell it. And now you can sell it. You can just use 15 acres anywhere. It sounds like it's not as desirable as you might make it seem. And you also don't need 2,000 acres. You can just put it back to the people that have all the waste.
Oh, they're already walking in my yard now.
We partner with farms and provide this benefit to them. Fertilizer is a benefit to the farms. And so this project is a benefit to Kevin Summers and his farm.
It's a benefit to him because he needs land to do it. He needs money. Stay away from the people that what we're all kind of worried about is smells and trucking.
And we're prepared to answer all
We're
those.
prepared to answer all those questions.
Our shit doesn't stink.
No, we're prepared to answer all those questions. And actually, if we could do it in a way, I very much enjoy the back and forth, and we are here, no, seriously, no, we are here for the back and forth. I think the commissioner-elect said at the very beginning that we don't have to be here, right? We chose to be here. This is a choice to be here because we want to answer every question and be part of the community. When these guys, when I started talking to these guys at the very beginning, they made it very clear to me from the high up that they come into a community to partner with the community, that they want to be good corporate citizens in a community. That's why we're here. We volunteered from the very beginning that we wanted to do these meetings. We wanted to answer these questions. We also know very well that there have been examples of biodigesters in Ohio that unfortunately have not been the best. So we could have these guys operate very differently. And I think, you know, I'll give you a very good example. You say I don't live, my partner lives in Wayne County, very close to a biodigester, and works in an office right next to the Quasar biodigester in Worcester. So trust me, I know biodigesters. I've lived by biodigesters, I've lived by them in Ohio, I've been to Massachusetts, and I've visited the ones in Massachusetts that these guys want. This is what's very different. And if you would indulge me for 1 minute, this is what's very different. Every single biodigester in Ohio that exists, the way that it works is the food slurry that goes into the biodigester is prepared off-site and is trucked to the facility. When it's trucked to the facility, they open the biodigester and put the slurry in with the manure. And the smells come out, and the wind takes them with them. May I finish? The way that Vanguard builds its biodigesters is very different. There is not a single biodigester in Ohio that operates in the way that these guys run the biodigester. Because they prepare the slurry on site, it's piped into the biodigester, it's completely in a contained environment. There is absolutely nothing to open for the smell to come out.
How about the manure? It comes in trucks.
The manure, what about the manure?
You're trucking in.
Yes. And then it's piped into the machine. It's like
I have followed
There will come it will be coming from 665, and we're working with the county engineer on a plan to improve the mile of Wilson Road from 65 north to the side. And so we're working closely with the county engineer on what needs to be done to improve that road.
Right beside the bike path.
our road, there's bikes all the time. That's wrong. That is wrong.
Correct. That was working with the county engineer to determine what happens to handle the Wayne Road on that.
Can we just for a second though, I want to close the loop. I want to close the loop on the smell because I think it is very important to understand this, right? This is a system that is completely enclosed from the front and from the back end, right? If you go to other biodigesters in Ohio, the lagoons, no, you have to care because it's a very different system. The problem doesn't exist here.
So you have
The
no
lagoons
open
are
water?
completely enclosed.
Is this the first one of its kind in existence?
No.
Okay, where is the most?
Where's your gold standard? Where's your gold standard?
The original facilities that we built are in Massachusetts.
And then Massachusetts, there were several violations.
This was called the Sparkling Wilson. Do they have names? What are they?
They do. If you go on our website, you can see the names and locations of all of our operational farms in Massachusetts and
Tons of violations.
Right.
I just have to ask, because I read an article about, unless you guys have changed your process, in 2021, in Massachusetts, there were several violations, which included hydrogen sulfide emissions. And those emissions, you guys knew about, but didn't report. It said in the article for 180 days. So have you changed your system since then?
So at the time during COVID, we did self-report of a 200 ppm hydrogen sulfide exposure to the environment, but at the time of 2021, and even then, it was a lot of COVID reporting, though it was eventually reported to the system.
Eventually.
To the environmental committee, yes, it still was reported as an environmental leak, and it was a self-report by us.
After 180 days.
6 months later.
So typically what we try to do is keep, well, one, we don't want to put any H2S into the environment at all.
Right. So what he stated is not correct. There is possibility for gases to be put into the atmosphere, gases that are harmful to me, all these people.
We have multiple different safety factors, including a biogas flare, a biogas upgrading system, several different H2S remediations within the manure, such as ferric chloride, ferric hydroxide, all to maintain not just a low H2S across the entire system, but also to make sure we never emit H2S.
Is there a flare on 24 hours a day?
The flare does not. We try to do a biogas upgrade. The flare is already set so that if there's any sort of emissions or any sort of high pressure in the digester, we would turn on the flare to burn out any excess greenhouse gases, H2S.
So in the article that I read, it also stated that in that Massachusetts incident, you had no secondary controls for hydrogen sulfide emissions.
Yeah, so the flare is the first control. In terms of a secondary control, there were PRVs on the project, but those would not stop H2S emissions. Those were the emissions themselves. The flare itself was the problem, and we were having an issue sourcing ferric chloride during COVID.
So it's not a fail-safe system.
It is in the most recent updates, as well as now the ferric chloride, ferric hydroxide are readily available again. We don't see those high H2S surges. We keep our H2S within the digesters around less than 100 ppm, try to keep it less than 50 ppm. It does matter greatly on the feedstock, on what we can do inside the digester, but any sort of surge outside of the digester, we also have activated carbon media beds, iron oxide media beds, depending on what we're using on the project, to be able to absorb that H2S as well.
So you're leaching it into the
But I
ground?
also want to ask, in the letter I
You see it
received,
in a high water table, you got
it said that most of it would be food waste with a little bit of manure.
right in.
Yes, manure would be manure has bacteria with pathogens to create the methane.
Right.
But food waste, once the pathogens are cultivated, any organic material, in theory, food waste is definitely a lot easier to break down than say grasses or stuff like
Does
that.
that include human waste?
No, human waste is not gonna be accepted.
And that food waste will be unpackaged somewhere else besides here by the digester.
I can't speak on that process.
No, that's a fully enclosed system. The depackaging occurs on site, and the food is then piped directly into the digester.
Then what happens to the packaging?
The packaging is sorted between what can be recycled and what cannot be. And recyclable materials are then sent to a recycling facility, and non-recyclable materials are sent to.
So again, we're talking about more truck traffic on our county township road.
Do you have to answer to EPA or?
Yeah,
That's
who's
a
regulating?
very good point, because one of the reasons why this is exempt from local
So we're
zoning
in the environment out here.
is because it's super heavily regulated by the Ohio EPA. So there are so many permits that you have to get from the EPA. There's continuing monitoring by the EPA. This is very heavily regulated by the EPA. So yes, multiple permits from the
Do
EPA.
they do inspection?
Yes.
So who's watching the monitoring of this system?
Yes.
So you guys self-monitor or?
Environmental.
So part part of what's unique about these projects is the system itself only takes about 15 acres for the construction, but because we work with large farms, and we sign, a long-term contract with the farmer where, you need 2,000 plus 3,000 acres to be able to spread this fertilizer, we're effectively contracting for the life of the project that, those 3,000 acres will remain farmable. And so rather than, something like solar, we're actually contracting that for the life of the project, this, land cannot be developed and will maintain, farm practices.
And actually, how safe is this to put down the field across from my house?
It's very safe. As is very heavily regulated by the Ohio EPA with the land application management plan and the nutrient loads on the field.
There is but I really want to close the loop on this issue of smell, because I think we've heard it a number of times, and I really think there's a misperception about smell.
There's not, there's 2 slaughterhouses in this township and they both stink.
The site of how this works. So I tell them about the site that has the restaurant on site.
Sure, absolutely. So, one of our sites in Massachusetts where we have a digester on the farm, immediately adjacent to, or on the farm property is a, ice cream parlor and sandwich shop. And, they have seating outside and a nice pond, and, people come and get lunch and sit outside, and they're, a couple hundred feet from the digester, and there's no smell there. What's, the reason that is because what emits the smell is the release of the greenhouse gases, of the carbon emissions from manure or from food. And so because we put that mixture into a tank that's effectively optimized to produce that gas, and then it's a fully enclosed system where we capture that gas to be able to inject into the pipeline, we effectively capture all of that odor potential as gas and harness that and inject it into the pipeline. So then what you have left that we're spreading with, effectively all of the energy potential, all of the carbon, all of the methanogens that would have the ability to emit odors has been captured. And so what you're then spreading is a pretty neutral fertilizer product that what we found in our operating farms has significantly less odor than what they're currently spreading, whether that's manure or fertilizer.
Did you bring any tonight that we could smell?
I have some in my bed.
Why not? If that's a major question and it doesn't have a smell, why didn't you bring it to prove it?
No, but here, let's just,
Before you go any farther, please, you didn't mention anything in your opening presentation about wastewater biosolids from municipal sewage sludge. Yet you say there's gonna be no human waste in it, but if you got municipal sewer sludge, how can you guarantee
Our
that?
projects do not accept
I'm
municipal
sorry?
sewer sludge. Our projects do not accept municipal sewer sludge.
Well, it's right here on the handout.
I'm not.
It was on the corporate website.
no, there is absolutely no human waste. That's the point I'm trying to clarify.
Okay, there's no human waste, but you're saying you're putting municipal sewage sludge.
We're not.
I don't think we wrote that handout.
We didn't write that handout, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
They're saying I can't come out. They're saying I didn't put handouts on the table.
We did not put handouts on the table.
So
That is
there'll
not
be
from
no
us, that
heavy
is
metals
absolutely
or
wrong.
anything coming from the flood?
Say it again.
There'll be no heavy metals with sewage sludge?
Sorry?
There be heavy metals with sewage sludge.
The sewage sludge is not accepted at these projects.
Okay.
What's
I
accepted
wanna
at
be
these
very
projects
clear.
is
What's it gonna do to our wells?
and manure.
Tell us about wells.
Groundwater is
We all have well water.
We don't use it that much, it's propane. This is a different.
Can you guarantee that?
This is heavily regulated by the Ohio EPA.
I got to walk around, I can't stand here.
Would you drink it if you put next door to it?
He does live next door. I just want to be very clear in terms of what goes in this biodigester. Because we hear the term food waste. Now I haven't seen the brochure that you're talking about, but I can guarantee
I'm
you.
sure there's enough
There
red
is no municipal waste coming into it and solid waste.
Can I ask a question?
But-
Can I ask a question?
Can I finish this just 1 second? Absolutely. We're here to answer all the
Soon as
questions.
you're done, I'd like to ask a question.
Absolutely.
You
I
made
just
a
want
comment
to clarify that issue when we say food waste, what we mean by food waste. What is coming into this biodigester? We're not talking about food that is left over at a restaurant. We're not talking about food that is, sitting, rotting, or anything of that nature. What we're talking about is food coming in from manufacturers that is completely enclosed. So for instance, when I was at the packaging facility and looked at it, we're talking about apple juice that the kids take to school in the apple juice containers that comes in to the depackaging facility. We're talking about ice cream. Ben & Jerry makes ice cream and somehow it doesn't pass quality control because there's not enough chocolate chips in it. They send that ice cream over to the biodigester. When it comes to the facility, it's completely enclosed. It goes in the depackaging facility, which is full of filtration systems and enclosed. And it goes through a process where you depackage it effectively. You take it out of the package that it's in, it's mixed with water to become a slurry, and piped into the biodigester. That is what's coming into the facility. Beer that is flat for whatever reason, it comes in the containers. So- No, it happens at the facility. No. Completely enclosed with a complete air filtration system that is super powerful. Owen and I were at a depackaging facility, we were standing outside, there's a house a few feet away from it, you can barely tell, not barely, you can't tell that there's any smell. There is absolutely, that's the difference between this facility and every other biodigester in Ohio. So it's very quick. There is no human waste, there's none of that, none. So now
Let me
we
ask
have
a question. So you made a comment that you are going to benefit the community. One, I'd like to know how you're gonna benefit the community. You are listed as a A1, so you're listed still as ag. You're a commercial facility. So you're doing exactly what the solar fields did. You're taking advantage of this being called a farm. And then to my recollection, what kind of taxes are you gonna be to support the roads after you put the project in? Where is the community support that you talked about?
Absolutely. So a couple of things, and this is something that we're working on and we continue working on. And again, none of this is stuff that we have to do, that we voluntarily choose to do.
No, you have to, if you ruin the road, you gotta fix it.
No, that's the problem with being a utility, the way you
No.
started in.
That's what Big Point's
What I'm trying to say is the following.
So what?
What I'm trying to say is the following. Number one, in terms of the roads, we're negotiating with the county engineer to have a RUMA, a continued maintenance agreement, where we can contribute, we will upgrade the roads
So
to,
you contribute, we contribute the rest, right?
Right.
we would contribute our impact, right?
And we see the traffic is all your
How
much money is he making from this?
Trucks a day come in and out of that facility.
There will be 10 to 20 trucks per day coming in and out of the
So
facility.
you got 10 to 12 trucks,
We did
and
a
they're all
traffic
going
study.
65?
Houston traffic study consulted the county engineer. And what's been determined is that on 665, the increase in traffic overall will be about 1.2%.
How about Wilson Road?
But not getting to 665.
We're working with the county to improve the section of the road where our
Yeah,
trucks will
our
be.
house.
So
we're
you're the
gonna
one
widen.
walking around my
And
yard
then,
without telling me.
as Majid mentioned, there will be an ongoing maintenance agreement with the county to contribute an annual amount.
But we see the trucks constantly up and down the road.
Those roads.
because of all this, are we gonna take that?
Go ahead with your question. He had a presentation and we ended up not letting him go through with his presentation. So he'll show you where it is and everything. I have a question on these rivers. Go ahead with your question. Well, okay, so we talked about the maintenance with the agreement. Number two, we're right next door to a bike path, and we're looking in terms of ways, in terms of how we can upgrade the area around where we're putting the Biodigester in terms of the screening.
They ride a bike through there and then come out and ride
Upgrading the area for the bike path.
Well, what happens to our wildlife on that bike path? We've got deer, we've got fox, we've got all these things back there. What's gonna happen to them?
We're not in that.
Please.
That's gonna be an impact on
Are
them.
you on the farm itself?
Can I ask you a question?
You on summer?
I have a question real quick. I have a school bus driver out here and has the solar panel trucks fly up and down these roads. Now we're gonna have how many trucks daily putting our kids' lives in risk? Because these trucks do not slow down for our red lights, putting the kids' lives in danger. So what you gonna do now?
I'm not gonna get in for the bus.
That's a very good question. Because they don't take it in with their
So we have three strikes. If we get any complaints.
So it's gonna take 3 strikes, what if they hit a kid?
And until they get someone on the bike path, coming off the bike path.
Yep.
Until somebody gets hit.
Because those people don't
Because
stop.
somebody hits one of my
They
kids,
go on their bikes on the road.
if they're not gonna get 3 strikes, they're gonna get me.
The one thing I would say is, this is not a sort of an Amazon distribution center facility where you have trucks.
You're gonna get me as a grandma, then you're gonna get me as a Twinkie driver. And it's gonna be a couple car, yeah, right now.
But my point is that a lot of it is repeat traffic, to regulate it, we're gonna actually have it in our contracts with the suppliers that they have to use state routes whenever possible, to come in using the state.
Whenever
routes.
possible. So that means they
Get off the state.
Past the high school, past the light, they're not able to come down Wilson Road because the roads beyond where we will improve will not, the trucks will exceed the load factor. So they will not be able to travel on Wilson Road other than the section that we improved. So they will come out on 665 and travel north for 1 mile.
Those signs always stop them.
County is here to improve, to widen that road, to improve it, thicken it so that it can handle.
I got a big question to ask. Everybody in this room wants to hear. I want you to answer for the impact of this facility on our property values, which are going to go down.
Right.
Because nobody wants to be near that. You don't have an answer. I know you don't.
Not to mention that, but you wanna be corporate, good corporate, people and invested in their corporation and the people around them. If you don't notice it, none of us wanna be around the fucking corporation. That's why we're here.
While we're out here.
I like it here. Everybody else does too. They don't want this crap. Don't give me any buts. You said it yourself. If you want a corporation and you want to be in a corporate setting, go somewhere.
But there is, we live in the United States of America.
Yes, we do.
We want to preserve that.
We don't care where you live.
With private property rights,
Would you keep
you
taking
have certain rights on your property.
Then let him put
Kevin
it on
Summers
his
has
property
rights
or deal it.
on his
Exactly,
property.
yeah.
I didn't put it on his.
Not going in your backyard.
What about the eminent domain you mentioned 20 minutes ago? How's that for private property?
You're right. We're arguing over if you can tap into a pipeline. If you can't tap into a pipeline, this is dead. You're going around loopholes in Ohio law. Ohio has a House bill that didn't get through. It's been sitting there. And 1 year ago, if they had passed that House bill, you just need to shut down. The power should go to the people of this community to do the zoning. You're like a factory going over there, and we can't do anything because you're going under this public utility loophole in Ohio, which is going to get overturned for other people in Ohio. We might pay the price here, but we're going to overturn it so you can't do this to other communities in our state.
It's called home rule.
Right there, the
Power to
suburbs,
the people,
right
it's
there,
democracy.
on our
You're
front
doing
porch.
loopholes. You should be ashamed of yourself.
You took our
And voters, Kevin Summers,
Yes,
should be
you should
ashamed
be
of
here right now.
He
He
is.
is.
Home rule. Power to the people.
I believe that this is one of those things that once it's there and operating, very few people
Put it on his property.
Yeah, put it down.
once it's there and operates, very few people even know it's
If this is such a good thing, why has it been kept a secret, not put in any of the papers and in the news? If this is such a positive for the
We are very much not trying to keep it a secret, and as we're here to answer questions and provide information.
It's already been decided.
A mile north of 65 Wilson Road.
You guys let her talk. You guys let her talk. Keep it down, let her talk.
And answer the questions.
Actually, we're gonna get into location. They say they will stay, and they will answer question by question.
Down your camera here, brother.
We're not trying to wrap it up and leave. You know how things are. Answering your question.
We wanna hear this conversation over here.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me, sir.
The new commissioner.
Sure.
Hey, and how they would control, and how they would control the semi-truck drivers from just using 71 to 665.
See that happen.
And not using 70 to West Jefferson through the other side of
Quiet! We can't hear
I find
Robin.
it hard to believe that all of Wilson Road would not be used and West Jefferson roads would not be used.
Sure.
By the
And
school.
so, as I mentioned before, we are working with the county engineer to widen and improve Wilson Road from 665 and 1 mile north to the site. And so that is the area of Wilson Road that will be wide enough and thick enough to handle the trucks with the, on your side coming to site. North of there, the road will not be wide enough or thick enough to handle that load. And so, we're working with the county engineer to implement a plan to outline the route in which the trucks will take. And then the second piece is we work with the same food suppliers on a continuous long-term basis. And so the truck drivers that will be delivering the food waste to site will be the same truck drivers that are doing it every week. And so it's, repeat drivers that will, know the route and follow the route week after week. And so it's not gonna be, a different driver every week that is taking a new route.
And also the other concern though is, we've had accidents on 70, if there's accidents on 71 and rerouting, again, you're talking about the possibility of rerouting traffic.
Yep.
So what are the means of taking care of the road? When you have to reroute, you'll have to reroute traffic at some point. Say there's an accident. Because construction, accidents, everything.
So again, the load limit on Wilson Road is not high enough for these trucks to drive.
They won't be able
So
to.
you'll just stop, just, okay, there's an accident, everybody go back home, you can't transport the slurry to the spot.
Is that correct, sir? So if there's an accident, there's a road, the operation ceases? Is that? No. Or you're saying it goes around?
My understanding is that working with the county, Wilson Road was not approved to handle trucks above a certain weight limit. And we're
let's
only
leave it that way.
approving Wilson Road from the site south to 665.
So
And so north of that, the road is not approved to handle trucks
So
like that.
when we see a truck on our road,
Where do they?
I think they need to wait until the road is clear.
They won't be able, they're not allowed on those roads.
So what happens when they start riding on those roads? We all know, we live in West Jeff, we know Amazon drivers drive everywhere. But, so what happens when they come down Wilson Road and go into West Jeff? And it tears up our roads, cause those are obviously heavy trucks, and you're going by a school and everything. What's the precaution? Our sheriffs can't be everywhere, our police department can't be everywhere.
Sure.
No, and I think that is the one thing that we do in our contracts with the suppliers, is we run, that's actually one of the benefits of this meeting, is you're bringing something to our attention that the community cares about, that we can take back in our contracts with our suppliers and deal with those issues.
Take that back. Stop.
Our understanding, they would not be
We'll do
able,
everything we can to
physically,
stop
they would
it.
not be able to do that because the road is not gonna be wide enough for them to be able to do that.
They see that road, why do you will do the road? That was the agreement with the county or whatever.
County.
That's not done yet, though, right?
It's going to be, they're already surveyed to take my property. So why?
Took geotechnical boring on the road to understand what the current
That's the
condition
county
was.
agreed to all of this road changes?
No,
The contract?
the county, the road use maintenance agreement that he's speaking of is still under negotiation with the county.
So we could weigh in on that with you.
Correct. What I told the gentleman over here is, we tell them the pound sand, we tell them the pound sand, that if we tell the pound sand don't enter into an agreement with us, they're just gonna tear up the roads and have no responsibility to pay for it. So that's an option, but we
But at
cannot
this point,
negotiate.
they have gone, literally, a lot of feedback. Your feedback, the commissioners, our feedback.
Sure.
Why should we be good corporate citizens on the other side?
found out
They haven't
3 days
listened
ago,
to
we were
anything,
trying to
including Kevin Summers. Is Kevin here, by the way? I'd like to see him. Is Kevin here? Kevin, would you stand up just so we can all see you?
Stand up, Kevin, stand up.
Hey, Kevin!
Put it on your
Oh,
name,
Kevin.
so much. Put it on your property.
Listen to what they say. Let's get through the presentation.
Put it at your.
Put it at your house. Not on my property. Not our house. It's good for our home.
Just let her ask the questions.
I've got two things.
One person's gonna benefit from this plan.
Yeah, they did admit that it was there, that you guys have applied,
Where's
but you've
your
not gotten
farm?
approval yet for this. You don't have the permit yet. And yet you are surveying properties to go ahead and widen the road. The surveyors were out there today. I saw them. You're also moving ahead with the gas line. You're working with Columbia Gas. You don't have your permits approved yet. why are you steamrolling this through? And again, we found out about this 3 days ago. You guys have been doing this for weeks because you told me that you guys started applying in the summertime. Second thing I've got to say, why not, if you're worried about the trucks and 665 to 71, 29 and 70 is a commercial area. There's the Luby Farms up there that is for sale. Why not go to the Lubies and offer? And there's gas lines there. You've got access to 70 into Columbus like that. The way I understand is, it's gonna be Columbus waste that comes our way, not Madison County waste. We're gonna be accommodating Columbus. So that's what I wanna know. I wanna know, why not something that is more, that is easier access, because that's what you want, and then why are you moving forward? You don't even have a permit yet from the EPA.
So to answer your first question, we run through all of our due diligence and feasibility work. We do extensive environmental due diligence. We go through environmental testing. We do survey work. We do geotechnical analysis, wetlands delineation. So we go through extensive due diligence before we move forward on a project. And so, we do all of our work, our environmental work, our engineering work, our permitting work, prior to when we have a project greenlit by our investors. And we have to get all that teed up before we can break ground. We can't break ground on a project until the Ohio EPA approves these permits. And so, we go through the due diligence and the development work and put the background work in to get the project construction ready, but shovels cannot go in the ground. The project cannot commence construction until those permits are in hand.
Right, and then what about the why not the 29 and 70 corridor? It's got gas lines already there. That'd be a perfect spot for all this.
So we go through an extensive land selection process where we identify farmers with large land bases. We look for locations that are on farms with a lot of land. They have to be close to where the feedstock, where the food would be coming from. They have to be close to a gas line to be able to receive the gas. There has to be a dairy farm close by. So we go through an extensive site selection process in all of the markets that we look at, and then we engage with landowners and go through a due diligence and contracting process with them.
Basically, you need to find a landowner willing to sell off their neighbors, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. That's it.
Our team reached out to there's essentially no water usage. We build a bathroom on site, but the only water usage that we'll have is a sink and a toilet and a bathroom and a.
What's it do?
So you have to restructure it or rebuild it?
So we designed the facilities to be operating for 25 years. That's the term of the contract. We generally look to implement option extensions with the landowner, but those are mutual extensions, and so if both parties want to extend the contract, they do that. If either party does not want to extend the contract, then the contract is terminated, and it's within our contract that at termination, we are obligated to remove all of the improvements to the facility from the
So you have to reclaim the
construction
land.
takes about 12 months. So it depends on the individual location. What's optimal for our operation is to find a farm with enough land to be able to receive 100% of the fertilizer. In some locations around the country, we find farms that only have 500 acres of cropland. And so then we will partner with additional farms in the area to provide them the fertilizer, to be able to receive the extra fertilizer. So, if we can find a farm that has, 3,000, 4,000 acres, then it's going to be an individual farm to receive that fertilizer. Correct.
So he picks it up, he picks it up from your place and spreads it on the field, across from my house, and all his land, and he continually does that every day. So now these trucks are running, his trucks are running over it, not your trucks, his trucks are running over it.
They would not be on so the trucks that will be spreading the fertilizer product on the land are, sprayer trucks, and.
So you're spraying this, and you're saying it's not gonna smell?
It is very low odor and.
Very low, not
He loads up and comes down the rest of Wilton Road on this Farley Road.
As he's currently spraying fertilizer, coming in now, probably.
When he does that maybe twice, 3 times a year? He doesn't do that every day from.
Where are you storing this the rest of the
It
time?
will only be spread, for a couple of times a year.
Stuff.
Where are you storing it at?
It's not spread every day, I don't know, it's not like it's.
Well,
that's why the lagoon-
if you're taking this much waste in,
Where are you
20 trucks a
storing
day.
Where's it stored?
So this is all of this material gets dewatered, so it's a dry material. We're looking at either a liquid, you have a liquid part of that dewatering side and the solid phase. The solid phase would be put in sort of a housing and get spread on spreader trucks like normal manure would. This is post digested manure, yeah, go ahead.
If it's dried out, then I don't see a need for a large farm to handle this operation.
Well, you have two sides of it. So you have the liquid fertilizer side, that would be the water that you take off. That would be used typically in pivots.
Again,
That's
this,
usually.
this, location will not be dewatered, and so there's
Oh,
not
this
gonna
one
be
isn't dewatered.
solid,
My
it's
bad.
just the liquid portion, and there's gonna be,
But it's all gonna be stored on site, right?
You're gonna store it all there.
that will be able to, hold 8 months worth of, the liquid digesting. It's a,
Like a 2 mil plastic?
It's gonna be
you know,
yeah, it's probably gonna be an HTP. I could probably give you a few vendors that make something similar. We have a lot of, we have a few projects that do digester lagoons or just covered lagoons
Has
in
there
general.
been a catastrophic loss of recovery?
Is this
No,
stuff
that's heavily regulated by the Ohio EPA, which is one of the things we're going through right now.
Yes. Exactly.
I said, Wilson Road, okay? Are they running the pipes to this gentleman's farm? Do they guarantee these pipes won't leak if there is pipes? Are they PVC, are they metal, what are they? That's all I wanted to
So
know.
we're working with Columbia Gas Transmission right now, we're going through a design process on that pipeline currently. I believe it's HDPE pipe, and as with, it's a thick plastic. And so as is with any gas line that, Columbia Transmission currently operates, if there is any leak, they shut that down, and go through a repair process, as they do with all their pipelines. No, the pipes, will be, the pipe will be running from the site on Wilson Road, north, to the Columbia Gas Transmission. Runs east to west, about 3 miles north of us.
So you have a bike path? Our property, our business,
Columbia Gas is like,
Columbia Gas required to do it? Is there anything saying Columbia Gas has to do this for us?
They are, yes, they're required.
Did you already sign an agreement with them?
Sorry?
Do you have a signed agreement with Columbia Gas?
We're working with Columbia Gas.
So we can go after Columbia Gas and ask them to shoot this down too. We can shoot down the roads, we can shoot down Columbia Gas. We're trying to figure out, because no one's giving us any ammo. No one's helping. Nobody wants this.
Doesn't care if anybody here.
You and Green, Kevin over there, you guys are the only ones that want this. This is like,
No, Kevin's the one that wants it. Kevin's the one that's benefiting from this.
So how do we fight?
One person.
We punch Kevin out.
How do we fight?
I would say this. Good question.
How do we fight? As a community, how do we fight?
The way they did. Do it dirty.
As I said, I've done zoning work for God knows how long. And my experience has been, unfortunately, that sometimes when the community opposition is so strong, what happens is the only people who lose are the community. That's what I mean by
We're losing either way.
Let me explain what I mean by this. Let me explain what I mean by this. Can I just explain what I mean by this?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
can't tell you how often you try to do a development, and the developer tries to work with the community around them, and try to do the buffering. And where if the community worked with them and did the buffering, and got a lot of protections as part of that process, they would get a development at the end of the day, but they would have had quite a bit of input as part of the development process in helping with the buffering, with whatever they needed as part of it. We're talking about the RUMA here, in terms of being able to do the RUMA and guarantee that the roads are maintained and things of that nature.
So you
What
never
happens
answered
is,
the
let's say you're
question on
able
what
to
the
drive.
community gets.
He actually is.
What does the
My
community
point
get?
is,
We
let's
don't
say
get
you're
anything.
able to drive
You're gonna get new bathrooms.
this operator around,
Property values.
who happens to be one of the best operators in the country for biodigesters. And biodigesters are a fact of life, whether we like it or not.
Put it in your.
You get another operator who operates one of the other ones in Ohio. And they come in, and they choose to come in through the courthouse, not through the door, not through these meetings, not through what can we do to work together to make this a better project for everybody. And then you end up having a project forced down without a RUMA, without any improvements to the bikeway. We're here to say, what do you need? How can we work with you to make this project?
Guarantees. That's
Need
what
to leave.
You need to know our wells, our property's not gonna flood. That our wells are not gonna be polluted. That's what we need to
The
know.
EPA will absolutely make sure that your wells are not polluted.
Until you have one spill.
So I always say, we are here to listen.
You're gonna do it no matter what.
Right.
Don't you understand? We're gonna fight Vanguard. We're not gonna. He told us 2 days ago.
Exactly.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And are there any that we could view? Is there another one of these somewhere else?
So, I think we have a video we can show that shows the operating facility. We would put a live tree screen between the facility and the bike path. And then
Right away.
Work with us to be able to do all these things.
It really looks like a,
You're gonna put what?
You're gonna put trees up.
So you can't see the trucks coming when they pull out.
Evergreens, so that when winter comes, we can see it.
What do you
Paid actors.
And generationally viable. Vanguard Renewables anaerobic digestion program
Turn it up.
a sustainable manure management system and minimizes farm owners. It also decreases the farm's dependence on chemical fertilizer and provides bedding for their herd.
you know, with spreading manure, if it was, we took a crop of hay off and it was right around July 4th, we would hate to spread because of the neighbors. And now with the odor reduction, we rarely even think about when and where we spread the manure. And our neighbors have really noticed the difference.
Oh, yeah. How much they pay to make that video?
My name is Toby Emerson. I teach at Fairfield Academy, environmental science, chemistry. When I first got here, I felt like the whole valley had a particularly strong odor. That's changed significantly since Peter started using the digestate to use as fertilizer in the field.
The program provides dairies with financial benefits that help the farm become more resilient to challenging market conditions. Since 2003, the U.S. has lost over half its licensed dairy operations. In 2022 alone, we lost 1,900 dairy farms. With the cost of milk production rising gradually in recent years and the price of milk falling compared to inflation for decades, many dairies have been forced to shut down.
We really just need to be diversified and have our operation not depend on just one income stream. And that's really where the digester's been really important to, you know, making us sustainable. As a lot of dairy farms have been really struggling.
While trucks are necessary to bring food and beverage materials to the farm, farm neighbors experience little impact from deliveries.
Since the digester was put in several years ago, I haven't noticed any difference in truck traffic.
Here's your
On this road almost every day, and I haven't seen I noticed no difference in noise. I spent time fishing on the river and I can't hear anything. We talk about sustainability practices at Deerfield Academy. As a real life example, we come to this farm to show kids what a local farmer is doing to put back into the community. It's an incredible educational opportunity.
It's not helping our community.
I expected more truck traffic issues. I expected maybe some spillage once in a while when you're unloading. Odors, nothing. It's been outstanding. I couldn't speak more positive about it. It surprised me that everything would happen the way you told me it would happen. That you won't have the traffic problems, you won't have the odor. Everything they said they would do, they did. And I was extremely pleased. And I would recommend this to
and enabling sustainable agriculture practices with safe, reliable technology.
She lives by Biodigestor.
That's what they were just describing.
First I got started in Sam Kindergarten, and my brother and I own the farm directly east of where this is going in. So if there's going to be stench, we're going to get it. I personally live, while I own that farm, I personally live over Greene County. As the crow flies, 2 to 3 miles from the Biodigester that just got shut down because of all the issues.
Yay.
I can tell you, I've experienced the trucks carrying the shit in, and I've been the car behind it, and the aroma and the smell, and when they turn the corners onto the country roads, the leakage that comes out of the trucks are on roads that were not built up, and they didn't go specific routes, and there were accidents because there were some tough corners they were going around. The air quality was horrible, and it would be all times of the day and night. There's a housing development that was built very close to it, ironically west of it, where you would think, well, if the wind blows west to east, these people shouldn't have to worry. And it's a military community. They move in, they buy these new houses, they're so proud of finally owning a home. And I mean, these are stories that were shared in our papers. The Daily News, go look at all the articles about Dovetail. And, you know, they would say, I can't believe I finally was able to buy a house and I can't sit out with friends on the patio because the stench is so horrible. Now, they may be a different kind of biodigester than you guys, but I cannot believe you're perfect to where there's no smell. Like I said, if the byproduct at the end doesn't smell, you would have brought it in here today. Because you know that's a big part of the problem is the stench. And I don't care if you say your biodigester is all included, pipe to pipe to pipe to pipe, and there's never no openings for any stench to go out, that's in the biodigester 4 acres or however big your space is. But what about the 3,000 fields where the end byproduct crap is going out to? Again and again and again. It's just a lot of product, and the EPA was involved, so I don't, the people here in Madison County get on their side big time. Get them involved. Yeah, well.
When you look for loopholes to build something,
Let
then
me,
there's
thank you very much for
definitely
that.
underlying issues.
That is precisely why we want to be here. Because we are aware of other issues that have happened in Ohio. Of biodigesters that are day and night from what these guys do.
So we can be the guinea pig.
Sorry?
So we can be the test, to help test this out.
No, that's not the, you're not the guinea pig, they're operating in Massachusetts.
Which have had violations too.
Huh?
Which have had violations as well.
Show me one thing that has not had violations. Here is the.
Every other farm in Madison County?
It's gotta be perfect for us.
Absolutely, and we're doing everything to make it perfect.
Then
That's why
leave.
we're here, we're trying to listen to certain things. You're bringing things to our attention so that we can go back and work on those issues.
Go through and
But,
penalize the rest of us.
Say it again?
How does a project like this go through that benefits only one person? Literally one person, one family, and everybody else in this room does not benefit in any way because you are not giving money back to the county, per the county commissioners. You are not obligated to do anything. And if that's true, then you're doing this for one person. And I have to beg you, sir, you need to stop this bullshit.
And along those lines,
Amen.
along those lines, Kevin's been growing his properties here. If you know anyone, or you have farmland, do you really want to sell to him? Because he might sell out somebody else around here.
Yes.
Do you really want to sell your
Don't sell
farmland
anything.
to Kevin Summers?
And
Do
it's
you want to
helpful.
sell your farmland to him?
And how is
I have a question,
He did his homework, but he never talked to us.
No, I have a question for Kevin. Kevin, I wonder, is your next plan to put a hog farm on the property that uses biodigester or a livestock farm? Is that your ultimate plan and this whole restaurant thing is just a cover because you're gonna put something else in? I just wanna know, you stand and talk to us.
Where do you want to put a hog farm at any day? And the hog farm
You
in
got a
Green
bunch of
County
land,
has
you put
4,000
this
head of
right
hog
across the road from
It
us.
still stinks, Gary, because I know the guy.
Put it on your property.
Here,
So I don't understand how you get to benefit and the whole rest of the community, we suffer for it. That
We
makes
jumped in
no
circles.
sense to me.
Now we're saying,
And
well, we
how
gotta do a gas line for
anybody
Kevin.
allows
We gotta do roads for Kevin.
we have
King
actually
Kevin.
ourselves, and Rob Slane is right there. I personally raised the issue with him about trying to come up with a way, and we're working on our end, on the back end, to try to crunch numbers of trying to do something where we do some kind of a pilot program where the hope is to reach out to the school district to be able to do some
They
kind
want
of
a new
program.
school. If you want to fund it, us taxpayers would be happy to let you build it.
Pilot, when they say pilot, that's a term of art, meaning payments in lieu of taxation. So we voluntarily enter into an agreement where we'd be making payments to the county. That is something that we're actually working on, and we hope to be able to do something like this with the county if they're receptive to it. And that's something that we're,
Can you go back and answer one question?
we're happy to approach that discussion.
What's it do to our property value? Is there a study where these facilities are at, how the property value is held up?
No, they haven't. So they don't have.
So the community is not benefiting from it, the schools are not benefiting from it, nothing. The only person that's benefiting is Kevin Summers. So everybody else is being screwed up.
We are here, honestly, we are here. And part of the discussion that we were hoping to have at this meeting started.
Our taxes go up and he benefits.
Part of the discussion that we wanted to have tonight is what would the community like to see?
We'd like to see
If you can tell us that our property values are not gonna drop, if you can tell us our water's not gonna be contaminated, you're not gonna run trucks up and down the school and the library. And you're gonna make sure that those trucks, drivers adhere to the traffic.
So yes,
They have certain times of the day. Tell us something positive.
let me say the following. At the end of the day, your trust is something that we have to earn, right? I don't expect you to trust us out of the blue, right? But I ask you to just stop for a second and think about this for one. Go ahead. Right? When the meeting started, the county commissioners explained, and the county commissioner-elect explained that, and you have the letter from the county prosecutor, right?
That you railroad.
Huh?
That you railroad.
I don't, not from the prosecutor, somebody else passed some pamphlet here that we have no idea what it is.
I have a
I'm not
question.
talking about anything from the county prosecutor. Somebody passed something else here that has false information that we have nothing to do with.
It came off your website.
You didn't go over top of the county to put it here?
I have a question about that.
But there's a nonprofit against these efforts. As you once and once, I have a nonprofit had to defeat them once. Can I get a picture of that? And they are the ones who supplied that. That last picture is on our website.
Okay, so here is the source of the information that we have no idea where it came from. But, so,
Go ahead.
just,
My point is, the county said they didn't want it here. You went over top of it and went to the state. So.
Looking for loopholes, found
It doesn't even belong
to
here.
do it anyhow.
Otherwise, it was already stopped.
the point that I'm trying to make.
The point is you don't care, that's the point.
You don't want
What this
This
community
guy
wants.
over here
No
said
one
Mr. Trump
wants
was
it.
one, that's saying that there was poison coming out of there, and because COVID, he didn't fix it? How stupid is that?
I will let them address those issues.
Is that gonna be a-
The point that I'm trying to make.
It's a stupid
Sir,
excuse.
if I could speak.
You wanted to give us something.
If I could speak with you directly, right? Is trust is something that we have to earn. You don't owe us any trust, right?
I agree.
We owe you actions, that based on those actions, you can build trust and trust us that way.
I think, may I say something? I just got here late than everybody else. You wanna earn our trust, but in a roundabout way, you've summarized, it's gonna be your way or the highway.
Right.
And I'm paraphrasing that, but if we're trying to build a relationship and hear your point, hear our point as well. Because coming across, no one in this room wants this. We've got stuff on Route 40, 29 coming all this way. We've got your guys' stuff coming this way. We're in the middle of all this. We hear what you're saying. Respect what we're saying too. And having that mindset, it's gonna be our way or the highway, that's not very trustworthy. Not at all.
Did Kevin answer the question about the pigs and the dairy or the future plans?
Can you commit to a future
Can you tell us?
across from, on Wilson Sparling?
Can you tell us what your future?
That's fine.
We just want you not to be a jerk about this whole thing.
Are you putting it or are you gonna do that?
Sir, if we could. The point, if I may just say this, right? I think the meeting started with how we didn't have to be here, right? Correct. And we chose to be here. because we wanna hear what you have to say. We wanna work with you. We're coming here in good faith, opening our hands to the community to work with.
You're being paid.
We understand a lot of the misperceptions and ideas about this project. We're trying to clear as many of them as we can. At this point, all you can take from me is my word, right? It may mean nothing.
Sorry, sir, but I don't know you.
Absolutely, I agree. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to take my word about the water, right?
Have you told us about the water? Does it affect?
It does not affect the water, and you don't have to take my word for it. The Ohio EPA will make sure that that's the case.
What about
You
the
want us to believe the Ohio
floods, those ditches didn't top the lake. It goes from east to west, down Charlotte Road to the river. So where are you looking in to make sure that that isn't going to cause any more of a water
build the
issue?
project,
We
we have
spent
to get a
22 years.
stormwater permit approved, that has a grading plan.
Are you looking into what's already existing there? Because that's all flood, that all floods there. So you're
Building
gonna
the
look
project, we
in,
have to look for the stormwater permit proposal. That needs to be approved, ensuring that the facility cannot flood.
so you're going to already look into the existing area that floods. It goes from east to west, it goes down Scarlet Road to the river. There's a creek down there that it all goes into. So you got all this waste on this side, on Wilson Road, and it goes down, and all that waste, or whatever, the runoff water, whatever it collects, it's gonna go all the way down in front of the farm, in front of the farm, down to the creek down there. There's also a ditch on the other side of the walkway that carries water down too. So where are you gonna hook in, and how can we know that this isn't gonna end up being a sludge, that there's gonna be leaks, that we're not gonna have sewer water basically in our front yards? Because that's what it is right now. If anybody lives on Scarlet Road, you know how bad that water is. You know how bad.
It lays there.
But it's literally a floodplain. Where these biodigesters are, is there a property values, have they decreased?
From our experience, everywhere we've been located, actually the property value went up.
Not in front of your face. Look at that guy, look at us.
And that person with the information. We're not trying
This is a property value. We built our first site in 2014. We bought our first site. Your property values have not gone down at any of our sites, they've actually gone up. And that is anecdotal because property values have increased, but they've not decreased.
The point is, it has not had a detrimental impact.
You don't know. But the problem
You're
becomes,
saying
we know that our
you're
taxes
saying
are
it
going
hasn't
to
because
increase.
of the.
Sorry?
We know our taxes are going to continue to increase just for general things like supporting the township, supporting the fire department, supporting the sheriff's department.
Supporting
That
the
stuff's
roads that
always,
you're gonna
but
do.
the question comes, just like in the neighborhood in Greene County, how difficult it is then for those people to turn around and sell those properties.
Yes, the resale value.
Goes right back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
This is going to negatively impact
Yes.
everybody's property
Yes,
value in this
it will.
form.
Yes.
And you don't have an answer for that.
I do. The answer is, this is a development.
Oh,
that
this
we
ought
will
to be
Do
good.
it to
What?
the highest standards that we can do it.
So let me put a
We do
trailer
our
on it,
absolute
not a
best to
fix
make
it.
sure that there are no impacts. There is,
It
it's
doesn't
regulated
matter
by.
though. Do you want it in your backyard? It's gonna lower your property value. That's why I say, you don't have a response to that.
That's not.
I have a question. If this biodigester, God forbid, would happen to explode, are the local fire departments capable of handling a situation like that?
No, they aren't, because it's all.
Fire department out there.
Department out here.
It's a tank.
Yeah, so there's several protections on these to stop
No, but when it
any sort of
happens, when it
explosions. There's
will.
flame arresters on any flare end to ensure that it doesn't backtrack. There's also
But have you talked to the local fire departments that
So you're not
respond
seeing
now?
any.
So if it's gonna catch on fire, they'll just put another fire inside of it. That'll fix it. That's how fire works.
Is there a constant flame? There is not, only a flame source, and we have flame arresters to prevent that flame source to come back, which is the flare. The whole point of it is to stop any, greenhouse gas or unsafe gases to get out of the digester.
So when this thing goes up and the flames up,
No, sir, there's no going up, there's several, factors put into the system to make sure that there is no explosive oxygen levels within
Is
the
there any
system.
hazardous chemicals on that site?
Hazardous chemicals?
Yeah.
We have Micronox, which is a ferric hydroxide.
No, I'm talking about stuff that you have to report to the local LEPC and
No, sir,
Ohio
I
EPA.
think the most would be weed eating, like just that type of housekeeping stuff would be the most serious chemicals we have on site. Micronox would be or ferric hydroxide would be our only real chemical.
Any RQ on that
Glycol
site?
on site. propylene
Any
glycol.
reportable quantity on that site?
Of what?
Reportable quantity?
No, sir, nothing that has.
Nothing?
reportable quantity.
And the EPA doesn't care other than the outside?
What does it do to our house insurance then if we have this?
You should have no.
I want
Should.
A few people that have had their hand up that haven't interjected. So this gentleman, Julie Walker, and this lady in the red shirt, because I know you've been trying and appreciate everyone's, okay, go ahead.
I got a question from clear back an hour ago. You were talking about your manure. You guys store your manure until you can spread it. How do you store it? Because you only have so many months out of the year you can spread manure, and you can't spread it when the crop's on, and you can't spread it when the ground's frozen.
Sure.
So how are you spreading it, and how are you controlling insects? Because you're and don't tell me because it's sealed, because a fly is like a mouse, it'll get in something smaller and shit, so then you have 5,000 of them.
So the storage lagoon that we are building on site
Lagoon.
has 8 months of storage. And so, the design is, to allow enough storage so that, the spreading will only take place when the crops are not on the field and when the land is able to receive the fertilizer. So
8 months out of the year, you're gonna store it on
And to
site.
answer your second question, the facility is fully sealed and enclosed, the lagoon. And so that's a requirement by the Ohio EPA.
So
To capture any additional gas production that occurs.
All right, so you're gonna flare off. You're gonna have a flare stack there, you're gonna be flaring off.
Sure.
So have you talked to the fire departments? Because or have you researched what we have for fire department? Because we have a township in Franklin County that responds first that has 5-6 trucks if you're lucky. You got West Jeff that has 5-6 trucks if you're lucky. And both of them take 20 minutes to get out to where you're gonna be at. Let alone any of the
And
others that
tanker
are working. So have you talked to them to see if they can handle your facility if something would go wrong out there?
Yeah, so I can speak to that one. So the flare is about 20 feet up in the air. It's designed.
This is what it looks like.
Well, I understand how a flare works.
Yeah.
It also is designed to
So
stay
there is
because you're burning gas.
There's engineering and a lot of due diligence involved to ensure that there is no sort of spread of flame. On top of that, we do work with your emergency responses, mainly for our operators on site to just ensure the safety of our workers. That is probably the most of the emergency response that we need to see.
No, you have to have a site emergency operations plan that's approved by the LEPC.
No, sir, I don't know about that one for sure. I
I
know
know
we
you
have
don't know
emergency
about it.
response plan.
But to get approval in the environmental impact statement from the EPA, you have to have that.
I don't
But
know
what
if we have.
but what I'm
I
asking
can't
you,
speak to that exactly.
have you
I can't
talked
tell you we do have
to
an
your
emergency
the
response
fire
plan.
departments that will be responsible to respond if you have an emergency of any sort? I'm talking a fire, a hazardous spill, chemicals, whatever. Have you talked to the fire departments that are going to be the ones to respond? Tell them what you are proposing to do out here and ask them, do you have the equipment? Do you have the manpower? to be able to get there in a reasonable time to protect our community?
In my experience, we've actually had the fire department on site, and we went through the hazards we expect to see. And
Here where you're going to go?
No, sir.
That's what I'm asking you,
My
where you're going to go.
That is the
Before,
steps that we've
part of
done.
your
I can't
plan
speak
of
that
you
we
wanting
We
to
will
do
be
this,
going through
but that
the
was the
building
steps.
permit process, and as part of that process, I'm sure it will.
Well, that's too late then.
We have not yet engaged with the local fire department.
that's what we're asking you.
Fairfield Township.
Because we all know what happens out here, just a regular emergency.
We will. We have not yet.
We will. You
Is
have
there
our
any,
orders. We will.
is there any extraction processes that go on in these plants?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Extraction, where you separate.
Yeah, that's what, when they're dewatering the,
Is there?
when they're making the dry
You put the
process.
product in, is there materials that you put in there with it to extract chemicals away from it?
No, there's no, it's not a chemical, packaging process.
There's no chemical diffusion going on.
So, how are you powering your facilities?
Yeah.
How are you taking from the power grid, or are you putting up solar to run your own facility? How
We
are
are
you?
working with the, electric company on, bringing three-phase power to site, to provide the necessary power.
I'm just asking, I mean, that,
We're working with the.
because I'm sure
utility
going to
to
use,
extend the.
you're gonna be running
three-phase service.
centrifuges and stuff like that to dry out your waste, right? You're not or you run the liquid,
Correct, we're not, going through a dewatering process. So
you're not dewatering any of, okay, so have you done a groundwater study of how high our water table is here in that part of the?
We have, we've done,
So what's our groundwater table?
Better recheck.
Yeah, you might wanna recheck this land, because everybody out here,
I don't know offhand, that's.
because everybody out here for leach system, you have to build a mound anymore because you can't do it.
The design of the facility.
Okay, I wanted to go over, Julie Walker, you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, maybe I missed it, but where are you in this process? Has there already been a commitment made for this to go forward? I didn't get that part. Or is this still in the talking stages?
We have signed a contract with the farmer. We're going through our permitting and engineering process now. And the target, the plan is to break ground on this facility in Q1 of '25.
Okay, and then when you mentioned, the gentleman beside you, at the beginning of the meeting about the tone of this meeting, that's nothing compared to what it can do from farmer to farmer to farmer to neighbor. You know, it's a divisive tool here that's in place. And that's very concerning, you know, the divisiveness of it.
Which is the very last thing on earth we want. But why we are here, again, I said repeatedly, we're happy to stay as late, we're happy to do more meetings. We want to answer every question, we want to hear the concerns, we want to work with you.
We want you to say you're not doing it.
But all we ask you is to also work with us, right? It's a two-way street. We're trying our best to work with you, and we ask you to also work with us and understand our side.
Well, I was not notified earlier.
We are here.
Have you done press releases? Have you been in the news?
We don't,
Anything?
that's just not.
Are you proud of your workings in business development? Are
When
you
the
proud of
lady
it?
speaking
We've absolutely
is,
done press releases and
About this facility?
Nobody knows.
this facility has not, we haven't gotten to the point where we're breaking ground on this facility. And so we're still going through the approvals.
Yeah, you filed for
but you're not letting the residents know.
What are your plans and drawings?
They don't want you to know.
You're not being upfront with us.
Where's your plans and drawings that have been submitted to engineers and things to get permits? Don't you have blueprints, drawings you could show us?
We do, we have a site plan that, is on one of our slides that we showed.
Do you have more of a specific?
What the site will look like. And we have our engineering drawings that, have been submitted to the Ohio State for the permit facility, as well as, what's been submitted to the county engineer for, the stormwater plan.
Do you have anything you can share with us?
I don't have printouts of the site.
Like, you send our email, just like, I'd like to see the background, so that way we can get information. You send that slideshow to somebody that you can.
Sure, we shared a flyer.
Did you know about this? I didn't know about it until yesterday.
Thank you. Okay. My question is, I've sat here and listened to all of this. I would like to believe you guys, but you said you don't know where this comes from. That's okay, you may not, but before I help a group like this, I would wanna know what somebody's passing out about what I'm gonna discuss. It starts off with a quote from the founder of Vanguard Renewables. It is followed up by saying, you guys are not Vanguard Renewables, you are owned by BlackRock Real Assets, that you were bought out for trillions, tens of trillions of dollars. So you are, this is all from the website.
You better get your
It goes
website
on
changed,
and it
because that's
talks
what it says all
about
over.
the problems that you've had at your other locations, including Massachusetts. And it goes on to say that you take all kinds of inputs from processed waste, packaged waste, fats, oils, so on and so forth. If I read this, whether you passed it out or someone else here did the homework for me ahead of time and passed it out, this contradicts with virtually everything you have said tonight. And everything you have done tonight is try to tell us why this is good for us, but you have yet to do that. It's been almost 2 hours and you have yet to give us any reason why we should be excited about this, why we should back this, why we should not be concerned for our health, for our property values, for everything. So I would like what kind of a response do you have for that? I'm not hopeful, but I'll give you a chance to reply. I just find this very interesting.
I will actually go through this point by point. So first of all, BlackRock Real Assets is not BlackRock. BlackRock Real Assets is a fund, separate entity from the company BlackRock.
But
They are
it
not a
says
publicly
that
traded
they
company.
acquired.
They are our largest investor.
Yeah, we're far behind, not idiots.
It's all about the money train.
Please do not offend me.
Who's
I don't
got
offend
the
you.
money?
Condescending.
He's the only one in this room who got benefit from this.
We have an investor,
The only
BlackRock
one.
Real Assets.
So how do you explain the word that they acquired you?
We didn't write this. Much of the information in here, and I haven't seen this, but much of the information.
Now you say you didn't write much of this
inaccurate.
information?
We
Earlier
haven't
you
seen it,
said
but it's
that you didn't
inaccurate.
have any of it.
And I haven't read it, but
Well,
much of
you
the
gotta
information is
Google your own
inaccurate.
company,
We didn't put
because
this together.
it's right there on your own
There's a
website.
lot of
Yeah.
information. It is something that is not accurate.
Neil Smith is actually the CEO of Vanguard Renewables. He did state, in fact, that we would have 150 digesters across the United States by 2026. That he was referring to digester tanks. We
And really you- have and according to 125 this, that tanks. means he's going to build 150 more.
No, in total.
But
That's taking
No,
the
it says
concept.
they intend to build 150.
I can't tell you that this is taken out of context. I know how many we're going to build, and it's not going to be 150 or more.
Can I help you, sir? You might wanna go research your own website, talk
Yeah.
to your own people, because I've looked at your website enough to,
I
since
have
I've heard
too.
about this, that's exactly what it says on your
Yep.
own website,
It does not
that
say
Vanguard was
150
bought by
additional.
BlackRock, and exactly what they're saying and what they plan on doing far as.
Probably a
building.
copy and
Not
paste.
saying here, I'm saying across the country.
And there's exchange traded funds that they have created with this.
It also says in here that you guys have partnered with Big Pharma, Big Oil, Big Energy.
Well, that's either investors
Absolutely,
are.
we've partnered with AstraZeneca. We are going to provide all of AstraZeneca's renewable natural gas so they can decarbonize all of their US facilities by 2026.
So they're gonna benefit from this.
They're paying for it.
I'm not benefiting, but they're gonna benefit.
Everybody
helps.
The people that's already got the money is gonna benefit.
Yep.
Wait, AstraZeneca's paying for it?
Do you have customers buying the natural gas?
We do.
Doesn't that disqualify disqualify you from a public utility? You can't have a designated buyer for your natural gas.
Not at this site.
They're skirting around it.
That's
Yeah.
Yes, we do have a partnership agreement.
We don't have enough money to stop it.
Total Energies and Dominion Energies.
thought you were really saying.
Dominion Energies owns sites, and we build and operate them for them. We have had environmental violations. They were all self-reported. The graphic below is demonstrative of what all different kinds of anaerobic digesters there are. Wastewater treatment facilities have them. So do sewage treatments. We take food waste only. We do not take biosolids. We do. I will write it in blood. We really do not take biosolids. I promise you, on my life, we do not take biosolids because it's bad for digesters. They don't work.
But it's difficult to believe, you guys, when you're saying things that are different from your website and from this paper which comes from your website. And there have been numerous times tonight.
From our website.
But there have been numerous times tonight where maybe not you, but these two have what I call double talk. They say one thing, for example, when this meeting started tonight, you keep talking about the tone. You guys set the tone. We reacted, but you guys set the tone. Second of all, you guys started off by saying how this was going to work. You needed 2,000 acres. Then it was 2,000 to 3,000. Then the last thing that you said was 3,000 to 4,000. It's very difficult. That's what I call double talk, which is 2,000, 4,000, 12,000. But my thing is, there's been a lot of that tonight, so it makes it very difficult for us to A, take you for your word for what you're telling us, and B, I mean, it's just been, it's no wonder everybody's upset. I don't feel like we've gotten a lot of answers.
We don't gain anything.
No.
But we weren't notified.
And we're gonna gain from this.
Not defending you guys, but we weren't notified
We're worried about
until 3 days
taxes.
ago
We're
about
worried
this going
about
on.
traffic, we're worried about our roads falling apart, we're worried about this and the smell. And you guys haven't answered that.
It should have been brought to light across the board.
I texted him this morning. I said, "Yep, you're kind of counselors."
They're saying
No one here.
Question is about the subdivision across the street. Subdivision across the street.
Are you aware of the housing subdivision on Farm Road? That is a housing subdivision. The housing subdivision, you're building across from it. Why, you can see nobody wants this, you got a lot of people who don't want this. Why pick this location? There are other locations would be more remote with very few neighbors. We wouldn't be dealing with three, you wouldn't be dealing with three, everyone would be dealing with three. Why this location next to the
So did,
As I mentioned before, we go through a rigorous selection process where
Yeah. Stop this.
Theoretically, if there was another place on 65, you wouldn't have to drive to walk far. You could have something on 65 with a work rate meeting.
yeah, it's called a landfill over in Franklin County, and they already got the pipeline in. Gas system. And they got plenty of land to use, so.
You're right. In order to go through a site selection process, it's not just acreage. You have to couple acreage, proximity to the gas line, proximity to there's a number of different factors that go into our site. 3 miles from
I can smell it.
Why build here when London is building eastward? Columbus is coming this way. I know no one here wants to hear that and don't like that.
Well, we keep things like this, they won't build this way because nobody wants to live by it, so it'll be good that way.
You guys done your due diligence and your research, so we can relax and say for the next 25 years, there's not going to be any building here? They're not going to, Columbus isn't coming this way? London isn't coming this way? They are. There's guys buying land in order to build and develop this area. So that kind of discounts your using this area in the large farmland, because in all reality, Columbus is growing, is the fastest growing city. So how can you're in between two cities that are coming like this. So how can you justify putting that in the middle?
We go through a extensive site selection process.
There's not going to be part of the problem I think that I have, part of the issue that I have is the underlying premise for the question. And I know we're probably not going to agree with this. But I think this is something negative. We don't see it as something like that. We don't see it as something as you don't live here. Let's say one other people do but I'm in the development, so I see all this development. And it kind of discounts what you guys are saying in justification for putting it here. You want to put it so you can spread it out a bunch of thousands of acres. But there is development and more housing coming this way.
This individual farm has 3,000
right now. I'm saying for the next 25 years. You're not doing that right here. He signed this contract with us to spread.
And after 25, they'll just leave it alone, just leave all the crap.
Actually ensuring that
I'm curious, how big is this Biodigestor? Like how much land is it?
I just don't know what our site is on 20 acres.
Okay, how many people work at this site?
It'll be between 5 and 10.
So that'll really help the economy.
You're leasing the land from Kevin. Kevin's getting money. How are you making money?
We end up with the gas. We sell the gas.
You sell the gas and bring the gas.
Robust
Do you get utilities to come in, or are you getting paid for all that? Allow that to come in too, or pay for that? Like, I'm trying to understand how the revenues work.
So currently, the two-way producers have to pay what's called tip fees to put that information in these activities. And so we act as a diverting source, so rather than paying tip fees to landfill, they pay the tip fees to us. They just take that to
Okay. And the employees, like, are those people that are working for your company, or can you bring people to train them?
So I mean, we try and hire locally as much as we can. So we hire site technicians, site. This is what I'm responsible for. Technical operations. We hire operators.
What is it?
Mark, in my job.
Could very well be.
The trucking, I think it covers, like, through someone, and then that's part of like your, that's part of your contract.
What is this?
People who haven't asked yet, so I want to get to people who haven't been able to ask.
I'm literally right across the
He hasn't had a chance to ask a question.
Could you please just provide some detail, the storage lagoons? How big are they? Are they storing sludge and are they open or are they covered?
It's fully covered.
Lighter?
The storage lagoon is about 14 million gallons. And
Of sludge?
of the digesting, the liquid digesting.
Sludge.
It's about 96% liquid and 4% starch.
Does the lagoon have a liner?
How big, how much?
Liner.
Yes.
Is it above ground or in ground?
How big, how much area? 4 acres.
It's covered and it's locked, and that's all the area. That's why I divided by the highway.
Guys, if we were just real quick, so that people can hear the administrative
No, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
And did we answer all your questions? I want to make sure.
4 acre lagoon was 4 acres, and 4 acres is covered in sludge.
Okay, this
Covered
gentleman.
and it's locked.
I think one of the biggest concerns here is maybe the smell, if there is any smell. Y'all are fairly confident that there would be no smell from this facility. Would you be willing to put your money where your mouth is, so to speak? Make, let's call it a contract with the people of this community that say there's complaints that start coming in about a smell, if and when there is one that happens. That say after that week, you make payments to members of this community, say $1,000 a person a day, until the issue is resolved, seen in the eyes of the people.
Right.
That's a no, by the way.
Those issues are all handled with the EPA. I've never, I mean, you can imagine the uncertainties of something like this and where it goes. But we could have a very direct contact person. If you have any complaints or anything, there would be a line that you'd be able to reach out to.
So is your truck traffic going 24 hours a day?
No, it's only during operating hours.
Well, what's your operating hours?
8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and 8 to noon on Saturday.
No holidays or how?
Are you gonna have lights running 24 hours? No
Not
lights?
24 hours, no.
And there's 0 lot lines.
And what about the noise pollution from the trucks going up and down Wilson? Any way we can get a buffer on those trucks, something that, we're not used to having that much traffic on Wilson. What about the noise pollution?
Sure, so again, the trucks would only be coming during operating hours, and again, we work with the food waste suppliers to stock that material in, and so they will need to adhere to noise restrictions on demand.
Can we see the
So what
proposed
happens
site
when
location?
the site go through West Jefferson and hit on 70 instead of, 71 to 665 is gonna take a lot longer than going through West Jefferson 70. What's gonna happen when they start deciding they found an easier route to run through West
They won't be
Jefferson? What
delivering
happens
to
then?
us.
How do you stop that? Pardon me? How do you stop?
So you're staying, on same
Contract with the food waste suppliers to adhere to a certain route, and north of our site on Wilson Road, the road will not be wide enough or thick enough big enough to handle the trucks that will be bringing in this material, and so they will not be able to drive on that road.
What happens if they do? They're gonna do it. We have Amazon, go down Middle Pike, they're working on the bridge.
The bulk drivers, we have certain suppliers that we have contracts with. We specify the routes with the suppliers. There is a mechanism to deal with it if they violate the agreement. So it's not like I have a truck and I'm driving and I'm getting there. There is a predetermined route before they come.
So is that route coming from 665 down across Lily Chapel, Georgesville, over to Wilson, or where is it going?
It's coming 665 west, so it reaches Wilson Road, and it's going north up Wilson Road. So it's 1 mile.
Let me say one thing just before, because I can see some people leaving. Again, I've made this statement before and I'll make it again. We're happy to stay here and answer any questions that anybody has. If somebody has to leave, by all means, if you would like to send us questions, we're happy to entertain questions and keep the discussion going. I'm not trying to end this. We're happy to stay as long as I just see people leaving. I want to make sure they get over their
Yeah, and I would just say, everyone, if you don't know, the commissioner meetings are 8:30, with an opportunity for public input. Again, we're not ending it. I just want to say some things. I was at the meeting today and listened for a very long time to a gentleman who had concerns about an unrelated matter. So your voice will be heard. So I encourage you to go, as you've heard, this is still an ongoing situation.
I'll bring it to you because this is more of a local matter with these folks. I live here on Big Plain Circleville Road. I got to endure the solar field being built over here. They hang nice signs up that say, no solar traffic past this point, and you watch the whole crew roll right past them quitting time and roll right past them coming in every day instead of going up into London and going out the state route like they were designated to. And when we called your office, we'll look into it, but there isn't a whole lot we can do. They tear up Big Plain Circleville Road. It wasn't great before that project started, and 3 years later, it's a washboard even worse, and we're another year before it's going to get repaved. While you're worrying about fixing culverts on roads that there's nothing with, drainage, creek culverts, there's nothing with, and everything else, but not what you should have got money from the solar system to repair the road after it was done, because that's how those contracts usually work. So,
I'm not in there yet, but let's talk.
But I'm just saying, so what's the difference? They can say all day long that we're not gonna let their traffic on the roads, but who's gonna enforce it? How do you prove it?
My phone number, my cell phone is on, you can notice that right now. Facebook was created on this, where updates can be posted on that as well. Again, not trying to send people out, appreciate your offer. But did want people to have some. We can maybe bring it in just a little bit.
So I got a question for you guys. How did you find this?
We never got to see the exact site location. The exact site location where this is going. I know there's been surveying going on, but where exactly? I live on Sparley, so
Are people interested in keeping this open? Are people interested in an ongoing?